Hello and welcome to Extra Time here on Fox It Hub on this Monday evening after yet another Leicester City victory. Well, it was a record extending, also a record equalling victory, as pretty much every game at the moment seems to be doing that. It is a club record matching 9th consecutive league win, which is quite unbelievable. Obviously, they're maintaining the greatest ever championship start to a season that any club has ever made. So every game that is going, there's records that are being broken, and we can talk about those and talk about the victory during tonight's show with Tony Cottee, Iwan Roberts and Matt Elliott. It was nearly only three of us tonight because Matt Elliott decided to... about 5 minutes ago, you rocked up into the studio.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. How's it only me who gets stuck in traffic? But I did leave at an appropriate time.
What was it? I'm 4 minutes away at past. Yeah. It gets in at 10 to 6.
Tony Cottee will be screaming leave earlier at his camera, I'm sure, as you always do. Good evening to you, Tony, by the way.
Yeah, evening, boys. Yeah, as I always say, Matt, leave earlier. Leave earlier.
Hang on, I remember you many times turning up late in your the car you used to travel in with Andy Impey, Frank Sinclair, Ian Walker, wasn't it, TC?
Yeah, well, I was sort of travelling up a little bit of a few miles, Matt, but I saw Imps on Saturday. I said to you, didn't I? So he's still as laid back as ever. So, yeah, you should always leave early, Matt.
Yeah, and to be fair, you had some dodgy car partners there, didn't you? It probably wasn't your fault more often than not, I'm guessing.
Yes, Tony, as he's referenced there, was on co-commentary duty for us at Loftus Road at the weekend. You were away at Gillingham, were you?
I was down at Priestfield, yeah, down at Priestfield. Don't mind that, 2.5 hours. Made sure I paid the dart charge first thing Sunday morning, because you know what that's like, you forget about it. And then 3 weeks later, you get a fine through the post. So
that's a short trip for you, isn't it?
2.5 hours, yeah, I'm delighted with that. Anything under 3, I'm like happy days.
Oh, dear.
And Leicester City, obviously, as we've referenced, Tony, record extending, record equaling. It's just every single game there seems to be something extra, doesn't there? And you, is it the first time you've seen Leicester live this season? And how impressed were you with them?
Yeah, I've obviously seen them on the telly a couple of times, Dan, and what's the highlights throughout the season. But was I impressed with the boys on Saturday? I was impressed from the point of view that they didn't particularly play that well, Dan, and they still got the result. That's what I was impressed with, I think, because, as we touched on Saturday, there are times where it doesn't quite work. They started the game all right, but it just sometimes the passing was a little bit astray. The final third, Jamie Vardy got very little involvement in the early part of the games. But no, I think it's a sign of. We always say it's a sign of a good team, isn't it? If you don't perform to your best, there wasn't poor by any shape or form, Leicester, but compared to some of the other performances they put in this season, it was a bit of a grinding victory. But I think you need to do that. We all know how tough the Championship is. They was grinding away on Saturday, and in the end they deserved the 3 points, and I think that was the most positive thing about the result.
As ever, if you're watching us via Facebook or YouTube, do get involved with the show. Get your comments in or your questions to tonight's panel. We'll also do our globe trotting later on. We've got Lurdle for everyone to join in on. But we've obviously, Matt, got to talk about Saturday, as Tony already has alluded to. Leicester probably not at their best against a QPR side that had been struggling but played well on the day. And it's a sign of very good teams. It's a sign of teams that do well.
Yeah, that's right to say that. But it was a bit of an in-and-out performance, wasn't it? And I expected them to be. I know the stats sort of back Leicester up in terms of possession and great amount of shots and on target. Yeah, without doubt they were. If you're looking at it as a neutral point of view, they were the more dominant side. But I expected them to have more dominance in the game in terms of not just possession, but meaningful possession and opportunities, creating chances. You know, making their goalkeeper play exceptionally well. It's really stretching the opposition's defensive play, and that didn't really happen, did it? It was, I don't know. They seemed to, like as Tony said, they started off reasonably well, and you thought, right, and it sort of plateaued out a little bit, and you thought, right, when they're going to really kick into gear, and they got the opening goal, element of fortune, but you make your own luck, and then you think, right, come on, then, this is it. Really go and hammer home the point, and make the game safe, and go and dominate throughout. And if anything, they just got a little bit lax out there, really, and I don't know, took the foot off the gas. QPR sensed it a bit. QPR struggling. Fair play to them. They gave it a good bash, didn't they? Good, effort couldn't be questioned, but quality could. But then, again, like in a lot of games, you always think someone's going to step up to the plate and produce something at some stage. Because give Leicester their dues, they are very patient. They talk about it. They don't get rushed. They don't go away from how Maresca wants them to play. In the belief that sooner or later something will open up for them. And on Saturday, it was Harry Winks' turn.
I mean, when you think, and you've mentioned the stats there, Matty, 79% possession.
Yeah, it's heavy duty, that, isn't it?
16 shots.
I was surprised how heavy the possession stat was.
8 corners compared to their 1.
Yeah.
I mean, that looks a convincing sort of win in the end. And I wasn't.
Maybe it was more than we're giving them credit for. Maybe we're getting too used to it.
I'm not seeing the game. I saw a big chunk of highlights. Casadei has a great chance. And I don't know if that was early in the game.
Yeah, early-ish, 20 minutes.
If that goes in, it could have been a different story. We were speaking here after the Sunderland game on last Tuesday, and I was convinced that Leicester would go down to Loftus Road and win the game. They're in free fall. Hadn't won in 11 games at Loftus Road, and it's like when you get in a rut, it's hard to turn things around. Similar to Leicester now, on the crest of a wave, going out, expecting to win, churning results out, winning games confidently. On the other hand, Queen's Park Rangers can't buy a win. Did I say it can't buy a win? And it is hard to turn that form around. And yeah, it looked a narrow win in the end. Took another late goal. But it's one, you tick it off, you move on. You've got, and we said, it's not an easy place to go. It's tight. You haven't got the space that you maybe have out here on the King Power, doesn't the dimensions don't seem as big. The crowd are on top of you. I wasn't
disappointed. I just wasn't.
Not as convincing.
Leicester can play better than that, but it doesn't happen like that week in, week out, does it?
Not in the Championship.
I didn't actually say it, but I meant to get round to it pre-match at the weekend. We're doing the build-up. All said and done, we're trying to sort of not pump Leicester up, but we're predicting Leicester to go and dominate, win the game comfortably. But a 1-0 would have done. In my mind, I think a win's a win. It doesn't matter. And there'll be a few of them between now and the end of the season that will be equally as important as any other win, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, 3 points is 3 points, Tony, isn't it? And maybe there are other teams in the league. I'm thinking Leeds obviously have blown teams away in games, but then they've been really inconsistent. In the games they've not played well, they've not won. Whereas Leicester, when they maybe don't play to their best, are still getting those 3 points.
Yeah, and it was that kind of performance then, wasn't it? They sort of huffed and puffed a little bit, but we've still got to get the results. We've spoke about it so many times on the show that it is tough. And you was right about the ground. I mentioned it in the commentary. It's a tight ground. It was good atmosphere. It makes it difficult to play. And to be fair to QPR, I felt they worked really, really hard, and they put Leicester under pressure. They certainly didn't perform like a team that was in the bottom 3. And I've got to say, I feel a little bit sorry for Gareth Ainsworth, because it wasn't a performance where you looked at it and they didn't try, they weren't giving their all for the manager. They did, and they made it very difficult for Leicester. And after Leicester getting the goal, or albeit a little bit fortuitous, the first goal with the deflection, but they really, really worked hard. QPR got back into the game as well and made it really, really tough. But I think that's just been the difference, as you say, Dan. With Leeds and Southampton, they've been a little bit inconsistent. The results have been a bit all over the place. I know they've both picked up recently. But with Leicester, it's been so consistent. Just that one blip against Hull, but the rest of the time, not always the great performances. You're not going to win 6-0 and play Brazilian-style football everywhere. That just doesn't happen in the Championship. But it's all about the results. And again, another fantastic result for the club.
You think, right, and I say it quite often, joint top scorers with Ipswich in the division, by far the best defence. I think they've conceded 6 less goals than the next best in West Brom. We've spoken about this 9-game winning run that the club's in. Conceded 4 goals, Dan. That's magnificent. That will win you the title if that carries on. That's you can't sort of turn a blind eye to the best goal difference in the Championship by a country mile.
Yeah.
You've got to look at stuff like that. Yeah, okay, didn't reach the heights that they have done in previous games, but once again they found a way to win a game.
Yeah, I don't think it'll bother the players either, and certainly not the manager. In fact, I think it will sort of please him really, because it gives him more to work on. But it's still got the result, and there's his evidence. Maybe when Maresca says, there's plenty of areas we can improve, and some of the players might be thinking, I'm not sure much better I can play, to be honest, as a group. But then they'll look at Saturday and they've still got the result, but they're collectively, without doubt, there is room for improvement from them. And that's a positive thing, because they're still getting, as we see, top of the table, getting the results net required, and still more to come, I would think. It all looks pretty rosy, to be honest, doesn't it? Are we being a bit not sourpusses, or are we being a little bit greedy?
We had enough of that last year, didn't we? Being sourpusses every Monday, where you're coming in and you're talking about another defeat. We should be bouncing into this studio now every week. Winning games, 3 points, top of the league. What is it? 39 points from 14 games.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's unbelievable.
14 points on third, is it?
Yes.
Are we saying with Leeds? That's incredible.
I was
really,
looking.
Incredible gap at this stage of the season.
We're more points away from home than 16 clubs have altogether in the Championship. That's
every game, isn't it?
Every game, 100% record away from home.
Yeah, no, it takes some doing, and there's more to come. That's the good thing. I think there are. I don't think anyone's shouting from the rooftops internally at the club. Without doubt, if promotion is achieved, then there's another massive challenge ahead. We saw the evidence. We saw a little bit of the difference in quality when Leicester come up. Okay, both teams changed a little, but coming up against Liverpool, there was a different scenario, a different outcome. Up against Championship teams, you get away. You talk about defensive record there, excellent, but without being too harsh on the other teams, it's also down to a bit poor finishing as well at times. And also, 4 goals is unbelievable. But at the start of the season, particularly, less so now, Leicester were a little bit scrambled defensively because they were trying to find that new way of playing. Leaving themselves a little bit exposed at times, but they seem to have ironed that out, haven't they? Because not too often you see them scrambling defensively, caught on the counter now. There are moments, of course, but generally they are in control as a defensive unit, aren't they?
Yeah, I guess, Tony, even when Leicester were at 1-1 at the weekend, they were in control of the game, albeit against 10 men, of course, but they were in control, and you didn't really worry that Leicester would concede, did you? It was more a case of potentially when the winner was going to come.
Yeah, it was just whether they was going to run out of time, really, Dan. Because obviously, once the sending off happened, then Leicester were controlling the possession, and of course, after the sending off, against 10 men, I don't think there was ever really any doubt that if anyone was going to get a winning goal, it was always going to be Leicester. But again, as I said in commentary, it's not easy against 10 men. I think sometimes fans think, "Oh, great, they've gone down to 10 men. That's we'll get 3, 4s, and 5s now," and it doesn't always work that way. That the team always try and work a little bit harder for each other because that you've got one man less. They left Lyndon Dykes up on his own and just filled it in. They had 5 at the back, 3 in midfield, and Dykes was up front on his own. He was never really going to get any service and really get a chance to score a goal. So you knew really QPR weren't going to score. It was just a bit about being patient, and I think one of the boys used that word, patience. And sometimes you need that patience. Leicester have got a certain way of playing, and it's all possession based, and they want to create the space. And of course they've got pace on the counter attack. But when a team drops in, plays deep, and there's 5 at the back, and that's at the start of the game, then you've not really got the space, especially at QPR, to get in behind. So they had to be patient, and they just you think, looking at it, thinking, we need a bit of magic here. You need one of your top men to just produce a little bit of magic. And I'm thinking, one of the front three, or a Dewsbury Hall or something. And the goal actually come from a slightly different source, didn't it, Dan? But what a goal it was. It was a fantastic goal from Harry Winks.
Yeah, but I asked you, I think, on Matchday Live, Tony, didn't I, at the weekend? I said, what was your view like of the winner from Harry Winks? He said, actually, the first, it was better for the first one, for Steffi Mavridi's goal, but still, you were obviously there. And when that one hits the back of the net, it's one of those moments, you've witnessed a really, really quality goal.
Yeah, I think sort of, I know the Leicester fans were screaming shoot at Harry every time after he scored the goal. He had another sort of, got the ball 30 yards out, middle of the goal, and they've all shouted shoot and everything and that. But it's not something that you normally scream at Harry Winks. You look at him and you know that technically he's a very, very good player. But I think what it is because Harry's so good at the role that he does and the job he does for the team, he plays to his strengths, and his strengths are he's got a good touch, he's got good awareness, he shields the back four, and when he invariably gets the ball, he just a little pass or a little 20-yard pass to someone to let someone get on with it, really. And you sort of look at him, and I've always looked at him, I've always felt when he played for Tottenham as well, you're always thinking that, I think there's more there in Harry, there's more in his locker. And when he got the ball, the goal itself was a wonderful goal, because he just got the ball, he opened his body up, and you could see the shape. I wasn't behind like Mavridis like I was for the first goal, but with the body shape that he did, he opened it up, and it wasn't even right in the top corner, but the actual curl on the ball and the dip on the ball, and it was past the keeper before he could even move, and he hit it with real pace. I don't know how many mile an hour it was, but it was a real thunderbolt. And you're looking and thinking, I'd like to see him do a little bit more of that. But Harry, being the team player he is, he knows what he's good at, and he plays to his strengths. A fantastic goal, Dan, and it was worthy of winning any game.
And he had a sighter in the first half, didn't he? Yeah. From a similar position. I don't think he got hold of that one quite as good. I'd like to see him do more of that, to be fair, get him. But
Would you like to see him do more of that?
Let's leave that.
But, because he plays such a vital role, such an important role in that midfield area for Leicester, because obviously that discipline that you need from that anchoring midfielder, which allows whatever two's playing in front of him. And we've seen the benefit of Dewsbury Hall and Didi, Casadei when he started, that they can get forward. But it was just a magnificent strike, and what I loved was the celebration after. I think every single player, you can tell what a popular player he is around the place. He's come in, he's a Premier League player. Hopefully he will be playing in the Premier League next season for Leicester City. He comes over as quite a down-to-earth person, not a big-time Charlie, and it was an absolutely mad. And it's his first goal in 98 games.
Really?
Yeah, his last one.
That surprised me. Yeah.
His last one came not too far away at Craven Cottage for Spurs in the 2-1 win.
It's full of them tonight, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Good ones as well,
mate. Gary Mills on Facebook says, Winks has been a sensation. I'm sure the panel probably agree that we bought a Premier League ready player in him. That's exactly what you just said, Ewan. The fee we paid looks skinny now.
Yeah, I think straight away, I think most people are like, that's interesting. That's going to be a positive acquisition. I don't think many people doubted it, to be honest. They're pleasantly surprised that we were able to get someone of his standing in the game, if you like, with his pedigree. But it just fitted nicely, though, didn't it? The way that it's gone for Harry in his career. A fresh challenge and a fresh start for Leicester. And he just fits the role perfectly, doesn't he? Absolutely down to the ground, doesn't he? He just slot in there. I'm surprised because, like Tony, I think he's got wonderful technique, and I fancy him. There's a few times he's had a few strikes, but more often than not they've been certainly 20 yards plus. So not too many of them go in, do they? But it's perfect. As I said at the weekend, the way the ball came to him, he had a bit of space, get his head up, little touch out his feet. It was almost like unopposed in a training day, really. But those situations don't arise too often in the hurly-burly of a championship game. But he did. But then he hasn't rushed it. as Tony says, he's the dip and the whip he got on it was a super technique. How can he only score one goal in that many games? And I don't know. I'd like to see more of it, but it's the nature of his role that he plays, isn't it? He doesn't get into many advanced positions because even when Leicester are piling the pressure on, he's having a look, assessing the situation, thinking, where can I cover?
Looking for dangers just in case we lose possession and they can counter-attack.
Yeah, so, but top-class player,
Yeah, Lisa says that goal by Winks was brilliant. Let's hope we can keep up the pace. And really, judging from what we've been saying already, Tony, there's no reason why Leicester can't keep this pace up. And hopefully on Friday, they will break that club record and make it 10 wins in a row in the league.
Well, let's hope so. But it's going to be a tough game, isn't it? And I think Borough away to come after that. I know they had a poor result at the weekend, but that's going to be a tough place to go to. But I always look at the Championship, and I've said it, and I'll say it again. I think this is the hardest Championship that there's been for many, many years because there's so many good teams in there. But the way Leicester are playing and the results they're getting, I mean, I thought and I was hoping that they would have a good start to the season. The start's been unbelievable. The atmosphere at the KP is going to be absolutely fantastic on Friday. What a game! It's a game for everyone. We all know how passionate the Leeds fans are as well. We know they've got a good team. They've still got some good players left over from their Premier League days last season. So it's going to be a fascinating game. It really is. But if you're a Leicester player, you're not going to worry about it. You're going to go into it full of confidence, looking forward to it. There's going to be a great atmosphere at the KP, and just go out and enjoy it. And I don't think it would surprise anyone if Leicester were to beat Leeds at the weekend.
Yeah, we'll talk about that game in just a moment. Before we do that, let's get the first of our Lurdles, though, this evening. This is a game for those of you that are watching along at home, so get your answers in on YouTube or on Facebook. Basically, I'll play a clip of commentary of a Leicester City goal. You've got to tell me who scored it and who the opposition was. The clips, obviously, will get longer and longer and easier, so the earlier you get it, the better. We had someone who got it after clue number 1 last week, which was very impressive. Let's see if we get that again. Anyway, here we go. Here's your first clue.
Maddison with the whip ball into the feet of Damari Gray. Did well to receive that. Here he is again, the Foxes number 10.
That's all you're getting. Just a 5-second clip. I'll play it one more time.
Maddison with the whip ball into the feet of Damari Gray. Did well to receive that. Here he is again, the Foxes number 10.
So yes, get your guesses in then on YouTube and on Facebook. You're not going to bother thinking this time, Matt?
No, I'm just trying to forge the link in my mind.
Yes, there is.
As far as I've got so far.
There is always a link. So yes, we'll see. We'll see. Ewan looks like he's got an idea. Let's not give anything away. Steffi Mavadidi scored again, didn't he, at the weekend? He's made a really good start to life back in England, back in English football in the Championship.
I think there's more to come from him. He frustrates me at times when he sort of drifts in and out of games. He can come inside like he did and rifle one in. Yeah, it took a bit of a deflection from Albert Adoma. Or he's as confident. We've spoken about that trick that he's got, and he does it ever so well when he does the old lollipop and goes down the line. He did it against Sunderland, and there was a good save from Patterson, the goalkeeper on Tuesday night. He's rapid. His pace scares defenders. I just like to see him sort of do it more on a consistent basis. He's had a great start to life at Leicester City. Sometimes he just sort of drifts out of games.
Make him angry sometimes, don't
you? You need a defender to sort of rattle him and wake him up at times. But yeah, he's been outstanding. He gives it that option. He can go down the line. He can come inside. Obviously, he's got an eye for goal. We've seen that in the short space of time that he's been at the football club. It's really, and it was great to see Casey McAteer as well.
Yes.
On the bench. Got to give him a mention, having suffered that hamstring injury up at Blackburn. Great to see him back. Another option for the manager to choose from now. So all healthy.
Mm.
Yeah, Mavadidi. But just one quick point that's come to mind there. And we're talking about the threats that Leicester possess. But also, people chipping in when required. Winks, Justin in the week, Vestergaard the week before. That's always nice to see.
Dewsbury Hall 5, Didi.
Yeah, exactly. They just half expect them to get advanced now because of the way they play. But other people chipping in, contributing as well. But Mavadidi, But yeah, like Ewan says, he does go a little bit hot and cold, and I've seen him in some games, and he looks slightly disinterested. But you see him on others, and he's scintillating, and it's good that he has that capability. And he's just sort of reaching his levels regularly, I suppose. But he's one of those players. He can be out of the game for half an hour and still pop up. He doesn't sort of just disappear. His first couple of touches, there was a little bit of concern against QPR early on. He got the ball out wide and it looks like miscontrol. It went out of play and he sort of kicked it away nonchalantly and looked frustrated with himself. And he thought, oh, hang on a minute, is it going to be one of them days? Is that going to filter through to the rest of the team? Because actually not long after that, James Justin gave it away and Winks did and Chowdhury. There was 4 or 5 small errors on the trot, and he thought, all right, come on, lads. Let that be a sign to you, really, and buck your ideas up, which they did to a degree. But, Mavididi in the Championship is a huge threat, isn't he? Huge threat.
Yeah, just off the back, Tony, of what both of these two have been saying about the goals from everywhere. There's 13 different scorers so far this season, and what are we? We're not even into November yet. That's impressive in itself.
Yeah, I think the manager would be well pleased with that. And the thing is as well, particularly like a game like I saw at the weekend, I mentioned it, like Jamie Vardy was very quiet pretty much throughout the game. Even Iheanacho, when he came on, he sort of drifted. He didn't sort of stay up so much. He sort of played off of Jamie when he first came onto the field of play. But from a forwards point of view, a centre forwards point of view, that was a tough game to play in as a Leicester centre forward because they had 5 at the back and they just stepped back and they just allowed Leicester with the possession, and Leicester were passing the ball around. It sort of went down the left, went down the right, and there was very little going down the middle. And even when it does go down the middle, if you're a centre forward playing up there on your own and you've got 3 centre halves around you, it's very, very difficult to just get involved in the game. Jamie hardly touched the ball, and there certainly wasn't that many chances being created. So when it is a tight game like that, you need players to chip in. You've got to get goal scorers from other angles, other places, because you can't just rely on centre forwards. I think all the good teams throughout the course of history in football, yeah, of course you get high-scoring centre forwards. Everyone would love to have Erling Haaland in their team, for example, but you've got to have other players around them because it's impossible to score every game. Even the Messis and Ronaldos didn't score every game. They scored most games, but not every game. But you need players around it. You've got to have other players chipping in. Mavididi's goal was a little bit fortunate. We spoke about Harry Winks' goal, but it's great to have 2 different goal scorers, chipping in for the team.
Absolutely. And with Casey McAteer back, he's got 5 already this season.
Yeah.
He's another brilliant option. We'll do clue number 2 then for our Lurdle this evening. We've had a few guesses in on Facebook. Stuart says Barnes against Leeds. Bubba says Vardy against Spurs. Gary Mills says Cardiff away 2018 for the boss. He might be wrong, is what his words are. So I'll play clue number 2 now for you.
Maddison with the whip ball into the feet of Damari Gray. Did well to receive that. Here he is again, the Foxes number 10, looking for the give and go with Jamie Vardy. Vardy's done brilliantly to win that back. Ben Chilwell, Albrighton makes the run to his left.
There's clue number 2. Ewan's got a bit of a smile.
No, I haven't.
To him.
I actually thought today, because he announced his retirement, you'd have picked a Danny Drinkwater goal.
Okay.
So that was my answer all day long. But
Okay.
obviously, it's not Danny Drinkwater.
It's not Danny Drinkwater.
I've thought a bit too much about it.
Tell you that for a fact. Stuart has guessed Barnes against Leeds, as I've said already. He clearly thinks the link is with Leeds on Friday. That is incorrect, though. We'll come back to that in just a moment.
You mentioned Cardiff Vichai, and it's not.
Not said it's not. Just saying it's not Barnes against Leeds.
Okay.
Yeah. We have had a couple of questions in actually on YouTube. Matty Coleman says Leeds is going to be a hard physical game. We just need to be careful when they're on the counter-attack. I know there's a couple of their goals against Sheffield Wednesday at the weekend were from Huddersfield at the weekend were from counters. And Cole Kenyon has asked Matt, given Leeds' wingers and how good they've been this season, can we risk pushing Ricardo into midfield as much as what we normally have been doing?
Yeah, interesting. That sort of comes back off the back of what I mentioned earlier, but I thought it was going to be an issue early on in the season, and it was to a degree. Ricardo coming in to midfield, and then when Leicester were turning over possession, there was gaping holes in defence. Ricardo hadn't recovered, and they were getting stretched defensively with effectively the 3 centre halves who remained. But I haven't seen that so much lately. Perhaps they're getting better at keeping possession and not losing it in dangerous areas. It's certainly something that other teams, and probably Leeds in particular, will try and exploit. The question is, will Ricardo slip into midfield? I think the answer is yes. They'll persevere and do what they believe in, Leicester, and then be wary of Leeds' threat, of course, but then maybe Winks will be a touch even deeper than he is normally. He might have half an eye on being ready to go and fill that gap if required. But I don't think Leicester or Maresca will change whoever they come up against, really. But it's an interesting point. It's something that Leicester needs to consider. More likely to be who we're talking on that right-hand side.
Somerville, probably.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking from Leicester's point of view as well. Who's going to be that right-side centre half who goes in there? Probably Cottee, Fast will probably come in, and maybe at the weekend, don't know.
Well, against
there's a positive dilemma there, isn't there?
Against Sunderland, with Jack Clarke, obviously, he's one of the best players in the Championship. He's on that left-hand side. Justin played right back, didn't he? Ricardo played left back.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll do something similar. But I think that both Leeds wingers, Dan James was good at the weekend again.
But I agree with Matty. I don't think Leicester will change their style of play and their philosophy for anybody. Why should they? 13 wins out of 14. Scoring goals for fun, not conceding. Let's not forget, 4 consecutive wins at home, haven't conceded a goal. Yeah, I mean they're in form. Won 4 of their last 5, but they have lost 3 away games this season. At Birmingham, they went to Southampton. They were 3-0 down in, I think, the first 45 minutes. Didn't travel well down there. If Leicester City turn up, I think they turn Leeds over. Simple as that.
Mm. Yeah, well, let's hope that'll be the case. Bob on Facebook, he says he's from the Foxes Club of Pennsylvania. I think I'm reading that right. PA, that's Pennsylvania, isn't it?
As you do,
in America, yes. He says, do you think it'll be one of the toughest games of the whole season, Tony, on Friday?
Yeah, I think it will be. Just listening to the boys there about our formation, the Leicester formation, I don't see him changing it. I mean, obviously, Chowdhury played at the weekend and he played a very similar role. So it wasn't as if they changed it, took Ricardo out and sort of played a different way. Chowdhury started in that right-back position when the kick-off went. He was in the right-back position. As soon as the game started, he goes into the midfield, which is what Ricardo's been doing. So I don't see him changing anything. If anything, I think Leicester will be even more. Well, we're in top of the league. We're in good form. We've won all the games. It's up to you to find a way to beat us, not the other way round. Leicester at home, nothing to fear. Absolutely nothing to fear. But having said that, you've got to be careful. This is a strong Leeds team. They have got better since the start of the season. I've not seen them live, so I can't comment too much about how good or bad they've been. But you'll get the passion. You've got the quality. Patrick Bamford back in the squad now, so they've got some options, and they will come and make it very difficult. And Leicester do have to be careful, because if Ricardo does push into that midfield, it can leave open spaces on the left hand. Leeds' left, no, Leicester's right. So they've got to be a little bit careful. But I think it's more a case of Leicester taking the game to Leeds than the other way around.
Yeah, and I think following on from that, I think Maresca is the sort of type of mentality that he'll be aware of it, but also he'll go, okay, if Leeds' wingers want to stay a little bit higher, he'll back his players to keep possession more often than not in the right areas. Yeah. And then he'll say, right, okay, we're going to expose the gaps that they leave behind. He's not going to be Leeds should probably be more worried about Leicester than Leicester worried about Leeds right now.
I think if the likes of Somerville, Dan James, Nonto, if he starts, if they start cheating, and by that they don't sort of do their defensive duties, they're not dropping back into their defensive shape, if they're standing in and around that halfway line, that you've got to expose the free man that Leicester are bound to have. If that starts becoming an issue when Ricardo comes in and they're starting to get a little bit of joy down that left hand side, then obviously that will have to be addressed, and I'm sure it will do.
On Facebook, Stuart Russell has had his second guess of the evening for our Lardle, unfortunately, is his second wrong guess. He said Vardy against Watford. That's incorrect. This clue number 3 might give it away rather a little bit more for those of you looking for the goal scorer and the team it was scored against.
Maddison with the whip ball into the feet of Damari Gray. Did well to receive that. Here he is again, the Foxes number 10, looking for the give and go with Jamie Vardy. Vardy's done brilliantly to win that back. Ben Chilwell, Albrighton makes the run to his left. Maddison central, Damari Gray to the right as we look at it. It's gone back out to Albrighton. Albrighton, Chilwell will keep this in. There's the ball in, Damari Gray!
So that's clue number 3. So a reminder, we're looking for the goal scorer and the team that it was scored against.
It's what I originally thought, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Or possibly, maybe.
Potentially, maybe.
Yes.
Not sure. We've still got one more clue to get. But get your answers in, I think, and it's starting to become a little bit clearer and a little bit more obvious. A little bit of Leicester news, obviously, as you've referenced today. Danny Drinkwater announcing his retirement. He was a key part of the title winning team, wasn't he?
I was looking today when I saw the news. I thought we might speak about Danny. 6 seasons at the football club.
Yeah.
35 appearances in that title winning season. two goals, one on the last day of the season. You probably would have been there at Stamford Bridge.
No, I didn't go down, but I remember it, yeah.
I mean, the partnership that himself and N'Golo Kante had in that midfield, you talk about energy, honesty, stick your foot in as well, win your tackles, win those second balls. Even though in stature, they weren't sort of big lads, they had everything that you need, and you have to have, as we all know, to any good side needs a really competitive, is that the right word? Competitive midfield, and that's what they were. Probably, I bet he'll look back a little bit like myself on his time at Leicester, and probably think, I shouldn't have left when I did.
Ooh, yeah, in hindsight,
yeah.
I don't know, it's such a strange one, and I can't help but feel that sort of tinge of sadness, really, the way his career has gone since Leicester.
Played 12 games in the Premier League for Chelsea in about 5 seasons.
Yeah, and I mean, tough environment, Chelsea, isn't it? And you go, I mean, listen, the financial aspect of it was obviously tempting. The glamour, the prestige, the profile of going to Chelsea. He probably took it as a huge compliment as well. Not that he'd be overawed by it, but he came from Man United, didn't he? So he's been brought up good education in that respect, but took his time to really hit top form in Leicester, which surprised me because a couple of times I saw him and I thought, we've got a proper player here. He didn't quite push on, but then there was one year, I think it was the year before. No, perhaps it was in the Championship when he got promoted. I saw him in pre-season and he looked a slightly different animal physically. He looked to not bulked himself up, but he looked solid and he looked fit and he looked fierce. And he started to dominate, and perhaps perhaps it takes him a little while to feel 100% comfortable in his environment, and you haven't got time for that at Chelsea, have you? When you've got the likes of, well, ironically, N'Golo Kante, you're competing with amongst many others. So possibly that was a little bit of it. I don't know, things on his private life, but yeah, it was a very, very decent player. Was England international for a while, didn't it? It's amazing. Just shows you a little warning to people. There could be many combinations of reasons why things haven't gone as planned, but yet you have to be focused, have to be, strong-minded. You have to be dedicated to get the best out of yourself. So things can change very quickly. But in regards to playing for Leicester, yeah, he's up there, isn't he? And he's one of the legends on the wall pretty much soon. But and wasn't too far behind Kante in the importance ranks, really. I know everyone talks Kante, Mahrez, Vardy.
He was up there.
Drinkwater was probably next, wasn't he?
Right, let's do the final clue then for our Lardle this evening. Well done to Gary Mills, who got it after clue number 1. Well done to Neil Plater, who has guessed it as well. Stuart Russell has finally come in. His third guess is indeed correct. Let's play that 4th clue for you now.
Maddison central, Damari Gray to the right as we look at it. It's gone back out to Albrighton. Albrighton, Chilwell will keep this in. There's the ball in. Damari Gray! Damari Gray has scored! In front of the Foxes supporters. 55 on the clock. And how much does this goal mean to Damari Gray and Leicester City Football Club? So much so that Kasper Schmeichel has come all the way down the other end to celebrate. What a moment for Demarai Gray.
Yeah, I think people have pretty much guessed it by now. It is indeed that Demarai Gray goal against Cardiff in 2018. A huge goal for the football club, really, in terms of what it meant. And let's just have a word on Kunvishai and obviously the four others that passed away so tragically just over 5 years ago. And there's been some brilliant tributes over the weekend, haven't there? Not least all the supporters getting a scarf that travelled down to QPR, which again sums up Kuntop following in his father's legacy. But it is it doesn't get any easier, does it? It's just incredibly sad.
No, it is incredibly sad. It's still pretty raw, strangely, 5 years down the line, and many poignant, like you say, tributes that they've been in various forms over recent times, rightly so. But still listening to that goal there, you can picture the celebration, you can picture the goal in your mind's eye, and then like the celebration, like Kasper Schmeichel running up and Demarai Gray pointing to the skies in respect of Kunvishai and what it meant to anyone who's got some sort of link to Leicester in and around that time and since. And it was pretty powerful stuff, really, wasn't it? But and continued to be for a while. But Kunvishai, where do you start? Where do you stop with him? An amazing individual, had an effect on so many people's lives in different ways, but in a positive sense, and communities and regions and counties, never mind football clubs. The Possible Man was a very special man also.
Absolutely. There is a special documentary that is available to you now on Fox's Hub called A Legacy for Kunvishai. It's about half an hour long. It's absolutely brilliant. It talks about pretty much everything that Matt was saying there, not just the football, but obviously all the charitable arm that he had and what he gave to Leicestershire as a whole was huge. Wes Morgan's in it, Kasper Schmeichel, Jamie Vardy, Mark Albright and Henry Winter, the Birch as well, all giving their thoughts on Kunvishai. And again, Tony, as we've just been saying, we've seen tributes across the whole weekend from the football club, and it's always really good to see.
Yeah, absolutely, Dan. And the fans were singing their songs and their scarves, and it was fantastic. And there was a real celebration at the end as well, with the players went behind the goal, and I think everyone knew it was the anniversary, and everyone knew what he brought to the football club. I remember myself, like 5 years ago, I was doing a dinner and you heard the news come in, and I just asked for a moment's silence because I didn't know the full details, but I knew that something had gone horribly wrong, and it's such a big part of Leicester City Football Club, and the fans paid their respects and they was waving their scarves, and the players as well. I think everyone knew on Saturday it was an important 3 points, but they knew that was for Kunvishai, that 3 points at the weekend.
Yes, absolutely. Let's take a look at some of these social media posts that Leicester players put up at the weekend, obviously following that, what turned out really to be an emotional victory. Kiernan Dewsbury Hall said, ... Leicester City. Harry Winks, you'll take them, won't you? Obviously, fantastic strike from his midfield partner. Winks himself says, this team, what a moment to score my first Leicester goal in front of the travelling fans. You were brilliant. We keep going. It really was a fantastic away end, wasn't it? Jamie Vardy, we got what we deserved. A hard-fought 3 points on the road. Well done, lads. Again, more pictures of the Leicester players celebrating with those supporters. Abdul Fattah, a huge fight today, lads, and a great win. The journey continues. Thanks to all the amazing fans for your support. You guys are so special. And Ricky P, we always have a Ricardo post, don't we? Great teamwork and another big win with our amazing fans always behind us. Get home safe, Foxes, and enjoy the rest of the weekend. Obviously, Ricardo. Delighted with the victory, as all the players were. Right, we are about 15 minutes left of extra time here on Fox's Hub. We had a message earlier from Bob who says, Lily is hoping her favourite globe-trotting segment won't be tossed away today like it was a couple of weeks ago, Iwan Roberts. It's your favourite part of the show, isn't it? It's where you get to take the reins. So, yeah.
Are you ready?
This is for you, Lily and Bob.
Yeah. Allianz Arena, boys. Bayern Munich v SV Darmstadt.
Yeah, we know what's coming.
Harry Kane, obviously he gets a hat-trick. They win 8-0, but there's more to the story. Munich got a man down after 4 minutes. Then The visitors, they get 2 men sent off just before half-time. It goes in...
But Munich got a man sent off.
Yeah,
right.
And then the opposition, they have 2 men sent off. They go in at half-time at 0-0. Harry Kane gets his first goal, on Munich's first goal on 51 minutes. He gets his hat-trick and is their 8th. In the 88th minute, they score 8 goals in 26 minutes. And I don't know if you've seen I think it's his second goal from his
8 goals, 26 minutes.
Yeah. He scored his second. He was in the D in his own half. And I was saying to Dan, that is such a hard thing to do. I said to Dan, I could give you 50 balls, and I tell you what, if you got 5 to hit the back of the net without bouncing, you'd be doing well. So to do it in a game, to have the awareness, the technique and the skill to do it is unbelievable.
You do well to get 5 with bouncing and no keeper. Just to get it on target.
That's what I'm saying. It's not easy, mate, is it? It's not easy.
No, it's pinpoint. Inch perfect, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The keeper obviously got to go under the crossbar, but over the keeper. The keeper wasn't... he was far out initially, but
he's got back.
He was spot on, didn't it? And he just floated it. Oh, it was a hell of a strike.
Yeah,
just shows the class of the man, really. He's another level, isn't he?
12 in 9 Bundesliga appearances, 2 hat-tricks.
You know, when sometimes you see Harry Kane on telly and you think, he might not have the best of games. Yeah, he's okay. I can see why people... But when you see him live and he's on form, he's exceptional.
It doesn't count as a proper... He don't get to take the match ball home because he's not scored 3 consecutive goals. Someone else has scored...
No.
Yeah.
In Germany, that's the rule.
That's the rule.
What?
Yeah. You're not allowed to...
Well, I just remember
that's a new one.
We were talking in the studio about Harry Kane before we came on. That one of the goals he scored against Leicester, where he was on the floor basically, and he managed to kick it in. He's an unbelievable striker. I'm sure you enjoy.
All-round play player as well, and a playmaker as well, isn't he?
Yeah. He's a really good player, Tony, isn't he? And he's been in fact, he's been
that's understatement of the year.
The scourge of Leicester, really. I think.
Scourge of many teams.
So many, 18 against Leicester he's scored, which is crazy.
Yeah, he's a fabulous player, and I think when you see him live, you appreciate it. I mean, I've always been a big fan of Harry, and it just goes to show you as well, doesn't it? Because let's not forget, right at the start of his career, he was on loan. He went on loan 4 times, didn't he, before he even got into the Tottenham team.
Including
and I think Tim Sherwood gave him his chance. And then, of course, he then gets in the team and scores all them goals. I've seen what Ewan's going on about with the goal and that. It's an incredible goal because when he gets it, he just takes a touch and Harry himself, I think he said he noticed that the goalkeeper was off his line. So he's got it in his head as soon as before the ball's even come to him, he knows what he wants to do. And that if you give Harry Kane that space, wherever he is on the pitch, he can put it in the net. And he was actually probably about 4 or 5 yards further out than what David Beckham was when he did it against Wimbledon. And it made me think of when I was a kid. I remember as a kid, and I didn't see the game live, but I remember when you sort of watch highlights and World Cups and that. And the first sort of World Cup that I saw the highlights of was the 1970 World Cup, a long, long time ago. And I remember seeing this clip of Pelé getting the ball on the halfway line and shooting. And I didn't think anyone was capable of reaching the other goal from the halfway line. It was an incredible effort. Sadly, it never went in. The goalkeeper was all over the place. He went just the wrong side of the post. But that was the first time I've seen it, attempted. And then the second time was when David Beckham done it in the Premier League. And I was still playing at the time. And you watch the highlights that evening because I don't think it was a live game. And you go, wow, what a goal. But fair play to Harry Kane, incredible goal.
Neil Sullivan in goal, wasn't it, my mate? He got a couple of messages that
night. Right, okay, we're nearing the end of extra time here. That means always at the end of the show. Thank you for your globetrottings, by the way, Ewan, as ever. And we hope that Bob and Lily are happy.
I've enjoyed it.
Yes, in Pennsylvania there. Always at the end of the show, we have Football Jenga. It's where the 4 of us go head-to-head on a theme that I've just been sent through now. So this is
started already? There's 10 minutes to go.
There could be a few.
This must be an easy one, isn't it?
After Harry Winks scored the winner at the weekend, and he's the only current member of the squad to play in a Champions League final, we want you to name anyone who's played for Leicester in the Premier League and has also played in the Champions League. Now, that doesn't have to be for Leicester in the Champions League. That could be for any club. So anyone that's played for Leicester in the Premier League and has also played in the Champions League for any club. Right, well, you guys frantically write down some answers there. Well, I say Ewan and Tony, our Matt's just doodling at the moment. He can't think of any.
I'm writing down my order for the curry.
We'll run through the predictions then ahead of each game. We all have a go at predicting 5 games that have taken place in the Championship. We get 3 points if we get the result spot on. The scoreline spot on, we get 1 point if we get the result right. So myself and Ewan are the only ones that have got a point there. We said 2-1, it was 2-0.
Quinn mentioned about Nigel departing.
Yes, absolutely. We can talk about that at the end. Middlesbrough Stoke. No one predicted a Stoke victory in that one, so nobody gets any points. Sunderland 3, Norwich 1. There is a point for everybody there. There's a fairly late Sunderland goal, which cost 3 of us all 3 points there. Watford 2, Millwall 2. Matt, you and I were the only ones that have got a point there. We said a draw, we said 1-1, it was 2-2. Again, those goals were both quite late on as well. Ipswich 3, Plymouth 2. Ewan and I, we were a minute away from getting 3 points there, but I think it was a 96th minute consolation goal for Plymouth in that one. Means it finished 3-2, so it's just a point for everybody in that one. And look at the table. This is the best I think our prediction league table has ever looked.
Where's Supertone come from?
3 of us all on 33 points. Now, Tony's done all right this season. It was last season, but this has been your team and your team only this year, Tony, by request of TC, and he's doing well there. He's joint first. Well, 3 of us joint first at the moment. Matt and Jerry top, courtesy of having more correct scores.
Right, and there's a straggler at the bottom.
There's a straggler at the bottom there who will probably fancy himself more in this football Jenga. So a reminder, the question is, any player that has played for Leicester in the Premier League and also played in the Champions League for any club. I will kick us off and I will say Jamie Vardy.
Where are we going? Me?
We're going you next, Matt, yeah.
Where's Morgan?
Tony?
Kasper Schmeichel.
Riyad Mahrez.
Danny Drinkwater.
Excuse me. Robert Huth.
Oh, good shout. Couldn't think of it.
Mark Albrighton.
Ben Chilwell.
Danny Simpson.
Christian
Wait for the ding.
Fuchs.
Running out of options already. You've said them all. Kante, did he play Champions League?
Did he?
Not for Leicester, so it doesn't matter that
yeah.
it doesn't have to be for Leicester that they've played in the Champions League. Back round again to you.
Johnny Evans.
Ewan. It's a good answer. Joa.
Good show. Good show.
Excuse me. Oh, there's a delay.
Joa must have done for Leicester.
Let's go over there. Come on.
There's a delay there.
Yeah.
Isn't it all right?
I'm just trying to waste time, I think. We've got 5 minutes to go.
It's nodded off. Come on, Elf.
Oh!
That's
I
a
thought he must
shock.
have done the season after. No, with Joa then, so I'm out.
Did he leave after they won the Premier?
Well, no, because he didn't leave till, I think, the summer of 2018, so whether he then either didn't play or went on loan. Yeah. Anyway, that's me gone. So it's the 3 of you left.
Right.
Matt, you're
I
up
was
next.
maybe slightly nervous on my next selection then. Shinji Okazaki.
Good shout.
Yeah, he definitely did.
Don't do it, Al.
He definitely did, because he scored in the
Leicester.
Champions League.
Yeah, did
He
he?
scored against Bruges, didn't he, at home? No.
I don't like this.
Oh,
There we go.
you just killed me there, Matt. That was my next one.
Sorry, mate.
I'm going to struggle now. I know he probably did, but I say Iheanacho, but I think it was too early for him.
Must have done for Man City.
Man City, yeah. I'm thinking.
Harry Maguire.
Oh, that's my banker out the way. Who we going? There's got to be loads of others on the edges, haven't there? Who would have played? Andy King.
Oh, just written him down as well.
Did you?
Yeah.
Trying to think of his name. Played for Leicester for about 10, 11 years. He was a squad player. I can't remember his name. Andy. I don't know, boys. I'm out. They've all been said, the ones I'm going to have to pass on it.
Right, that's Tony says just leaves the two of you.
It's got to be a couple of randoms. Not randoms, but who play for other clubs.
Got two, and I'm not sure. I'm going to go Wesley Fofana. Is it Fofana?
Fofana. Yeah, good answer.
That's who I've
Very
got.
good answer.
That's who I've got, mate. You've hurt me there. You've hurt me. So the question is, played in Europe.
Played in the Champions League and also played for Leicester.
Well, that's it. Sorry. Cambiasso.
Nice.
Very good, man.
Yeah, I had that written down.
Thank you.
Won it, I think, hasn't he? With Inter Milan?
With Inter? Yeah, he was part
Sorry,
of
I thought you
No,
meant Matip, and I've got defensive. No, that's my goal.
Mourinho under him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Go for it, so go for it.
Tete.
That's a great answer.
Oh, that is a shout.
That is a great answer.
Who's what? Monaco or is it Monaco?
Galatasaray.
That's right now.
Yeah.
Oh well. I bet there's plenty others actually, but we just.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go. Smiling and goal. We went there. We come through the team pretty much, haven't we? Main team anyway.
You're stalling now, Matt.
Well, I'm stumbling, that's why. Who's going to have a random Cambiasso? No. Ooh. Can't even think of any options there. Drink water.
Right, 5 seconds.
Oh, yeah, I'll just come up with a name.
People are getting bored now.
Right, highly unlikely, but there's got to be more in the squad than that. Oh,
He's got one.
Harvey Barnes.
Oh.
Well done. Would that be for Newcastle, though?
No, I think he played early.
Did he?
I think he played in the
Porto in the 5-0.
Yeah.
He did, you're right.
Who did you say, Matt? What name do you
Harvey
say?
Barnes.
Harvey Barnes.
Yes, played in the Porto
Made his
5-0.
debut there, yeah.
Soyuncu. I don't know if he's played for AC Milan.
Atletico.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's gone.
He has, hasn't he?
He must have.
Is that allowed? Got the wrong club.
No.
Well, we've not heard a ding yet. But he must have done. Presumably.
Well, he's been playing, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, this has been a long one, hasn't it? It's got some sort of record going on here.
It's like the VAR,
Well.
5 minutes.
I know, yeah. Still waiting for a ding on me. Oh! Yes, Tone. Go on, Super Tone.
Yeah, that is a Matt Elliott victory. No one had that one. But yeah, pulling Harvey Barnes from nowhere, that was a great answer. Well done to
So
Matt
did you not
Elliott.
get a game, Madrid then?
I was thinking Eunice as well. Oh no, he's not played Premier League for Leicester.
No.
Championship.
Anyway, well done to Matt Elliott for winning that. His first one in a long time. That
never say never, son. Never say never.
We're pretty much at the end anyway of the show. We've previewed that game with Leeds on Friday, of course. It is an 8 o'clock kickoff Friday night under the lights here at King Power Stadium. That means we're live from 7 p.m. on Matchday Live. We've got Liam Moore in the studio, so do join us for that. Matchday Live on Fox's Hub from 7 p.m. Big thank you to Iwan Roberts as ever, to Tony Cottee and to Matt Elliott for their company this evening. We'll see you all in a week's time, where hopefully we'll be talking about another Leicester City record-breaking victory. Have a great week, everybody.